Hi friends, how's it going? I'm Dean of the InkGuild Podcast. Welcome back. I'm joined today by Gabe and Alex. You guys want to say hi?
Hello.
I'm sorry, quick thing, but like whenever two voices sync up on the same word, it always makes me smile. But anyway, today on our episode, we're going to be talking about our original characters, or our OCs, as we'll probably be abbreviating throughout the episode. Between the three of us, we each have a whole universe worth of characters. One of us, we have literal universes of characters, but we'll get to that later. It's hard kind of narrowing down some of our own personal favorite characters, but we've discussed to talk just about 3 today, and depending on how we feel and depending on how you guys like it, we'll probably do follow-up episodes, because we do really put a lot of work into our OCs. So see, the thing for me though is when I'm talking about OCs, I'm talking about my current world, Xeno, and that book hasn't been fully realized yet. Like, I haven't even really written the first book, but here I am planning like a whole series worth of characters. And funny enough, one of my favorite characters in as part of the series, but not this first book yet, is a character called Britte Omaya. She is I've done a drawing of her. If you follow me on social media, she is she's pretty distinguishable. She is a character with a giant scythe. If you guys kind of remember from my social media when I did that as a drawing. But Britte is, I think, like one of the a really good character of mine that I've developed so far and haven't even really written yet, because she is what I call the tragic overload. Because I've tried in trying to develop her, I've just written like tragic backstory after tragic backstory after tragic backstory, and like she's just gone through everything. So as a bit of background, she is a Zuran, and that's Zuuran, as part of a land called Zur in my world. For easy reference, Zurs are kind of like high elves, except they aren't gold skin, gold hair. They're more like silver skin and kind of white hair, or white, or kind of a light green kind of hair. I know that those things kind of polar opposites in terms of color palette, but like, I don't know, I liked it. And she's more than a Zoran, actually. Britte is a Silo, Sylo. And Silos are my take on the Valkyries. So, not only is so as Silos, they are granted, like, I haven't really developed that kind of universe yet, but Britte has been she is a squad leader for the Silos, and supposedly is one of the best. Not the best, one of the best, because there's a lot of them. Silos Silos are supposed to be, I guess, kind of the heroes of the land Zur. They each have their own distinct roles depending on where they're stationed, and like think of it pretty much like think of it like the military. They're the soldiers for that land, and Britte specifically, she has had a high ranking in that until a fatal accident has taken away her eyesight. And without her eyesight, she's still she has tried to kind of live with it, but because of the lot of laws and honor codes that the Silos go through, she's rendered useless. How much of that did you guys hear?
Pretty much all of it, up until
you cut out, yeah.
Okay, well, I only cut out for a couple seconds, so I guess that's fine.
Yeah.
So, Britte specifically, to go off of what I was saying, Britte has lost her eyesight, and when I do eventually introduce her in the book, or in her respective book, I'm hoping to develop just, her struggle with it, and how useful she's been for both her and for her friends as the journey as her story kind of ramps up. because it's not the end of her journey, her losing her eyesight. It's more, as one page turns, the other starts a new journey. So I guess it's the potential of really where I'm taking her character. Like, if you guys have seen my character design of her on my Instagram, like, I have put a lot of time and effort into that design because she is a character that I'm really, really invested in so far, and I'm ready to make it work. And I guess for those who have checked it out and know what she looks like I'm planning to use that giant fucking awesome scythe to good work. Like, she has pretty nice wings, which is hard to explain because I did the drawing in black and white, but I'm thinking of like neon kind of glowing purple wings, and like the bandages on her eyes and on her arms. Like, this character, like, I called her the tragic overload in the beginning because she really has gone through a lot, and I don't want to just make that the selling point for this character. I don't want like people to think that, oh, because Britte Omaya has just gone through so much, like, that's it. Like, no, like, it's obviously with the character arc that changes her, that she goes through. Like, I'm very excited to start doing that whenever the hell I get to it, because right now I still need to power through book number 1. So like, you guys know that, right? Like, you have like so many stories planned, and you have so many characters you've already created, but then it's like, oh shit, I can't just introduce them out of nowhere yet.
Yeah.
So
all too well.
Yeah, so that's one of my favorite OCs so far, and I haven't even really written her in yet. It's Britte Omaya. In our anyway, does someone want to go now?
Yeah, sure. I'll go.
Sweet.
The first character I'm gonna go with is a character from a fantasy series I've been working on called the Night Reaver Saga, and he's a character that I sort of have planned to show up in the 4th book. His name is Henrick Bloodstorm, and he's also sometimes known as the Naked Knight.
I doubly love it now.
His whole thing is that he's this huge, incredibly buff macho man who wears this giant suit of armor to get into battle, but if he's pressed, if he's strained, if he's fighting a particularly cunning opponent, he will take every piece of his armor off in order to become a much faster opponent and just run around the battlefield butt naked at lightning speed. He's essentially
holy shit.
He's like he's like an NSFW Rock Lee from Naruto. He just drops all of his extremely heavy armor and bolts around the battlefield.
Dude, that's amazing. That's actually amazing. How'd you come up with that character?
I think it was just the name. I was just like, the Naked Knight. And then I just sort of expounded from there. I was like, okay, why is he called the Naked Knight? And then I was like, he fights naked. And then I was like, all right, why does he do that? And then once you just start going down that rabbit hole, suddenly you have this character who just has incredible superhuman speed once he gets buck naked.
Like, does he? Okay, so like he's in a suit of armor like in the beginning. So like, does he have any weapons? Like, what kind of weapons does he use?
Yeah, he uses like a huge sword in this like warhammer sized suit of armor, and he's still big when he takes it all off. He's still supposed to be big, but the armor's pretty substantial.
Damn. Yeah, it's warhammer armor too. Shit, that's
like warhammer style armor, like just humongous bulky armor.
So then when he like strips it all off, like does he just still carry that giant ass sword then, or?
Yeah, he just carries the sword. The sword there's a.
The
sword's apparently extremely light in comparison to his armor. That is just It is just overbearing to wear at all times, but he looks cool wearing it.
Oh my god! Oh my god! I'm thinking of like a fucking naked, like, I don't know why I'm thinking of this now, but like I'm thinking of a naked Cloud Strife with this giant fucking Buster Sword trying to take down Shinra.
Think of that, but it's Barrett.
Oh my god, that's awesome! I love that.
Basically the whole of book 4 of this series is like kind of a tournament arc, but not like only part of it is. But so this character shows up in this big arena sort of thing as like a rival to the protagonist. So I didn't want him to be like a main villain, so I didn't want him to really be sinister or intimidating. I thought he would be like a fun rival character though, to show up and be surprising in that he's not just this humongous man.
It sounds like a really fun story.
Thank you.
Yeah, it makes me think, like, what other fucking characters do you have in this book, if that's one of them? Yeah, and like, so wait, so you said that they were like Barrett, so is the character like black then, or are they like a person of color?
No, I just meant like in body mass.
Okay.
I guess he could be. I haven't really decided.
Well, I mean, I ask because, like, you know, little details like that really kind of help me at least, like, visualize just how they look like and stuff.
I guess if I had to like pin down his visuals, he's what I imagine he would be. He's like he's like white. I guess he would be like a very Viking-ish sort of appearance, big beard,
yeah,
very like smushed kind of angry face at all times, but like a sort of crazy looking smile, like how Vikings always look when they go into battle, where they're grinning and just, you can tell it's fucked up, but they're having the time of their fucking lives doing this shit.
Yeah, like some kind of like warlust or something. Yeah, I can picture that. Yeah, that's pretty sweet.
And like, I thought he would be an important character for that, because it's interesting. He's like he's this hilarious, absurd concept. It's kind of tonally inconsistent with what the rest of the series is trying to be. So he's more of a comic relief than anything.
Well, I mean,
comic relief rival.
Sorry, Alex, what was that?
Said sometimes you need that though.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. It's like a dark story, but it can't be all dark, and there has to be a moment. You have to have like a balance. You can't just have everything be like
tension.
Yeah, exactly. Like, you don't always need to have, like, for every serious moment, like, you have some kind of witty line that kind of writes it off, cough cough MCU, but like, you know, a good enough balance. Like, if you've got like a fun kind of villain.
Well, the thing is, it's like that's how reality works. Even when stuff is like really fucking bleak, there will still be stuff to find, like, I guess, humorous.
Yeah, like we live in an age where, you know, and not to get too kind of political or anything, but like we live in an age where if something happens, memes exist, for better or for worse. Oh my god, complete off note, by the way, but like in Alex's introductory episode, we were talking about like fan fiction, like, you know, like what would happen, or like how would we react if you know, to our characters, like how they react, or the public. And now I'm thinking, like, my god, can you guys imagine the memes that people would be coming up with for our fucking books?
Oh, bro.
Oh my god.
If I get to a point where book 4 gets published, I am sure the Naked Knight will become just...
I hope so.
It's gonna be a crowd favorite on iFunny.
I will accomplish nothing else. I will have no legacy, but the Naked Knight will be stamped just on my name forever.
Just be like, so how's this trilogy written by Gabe? And be like, yeah, or this trilogy, this series written by Gabe. It's like, oh, it's pretty sweet. Like, there's this one character called the Naked Knight that is the best character. I'm be like, oh, okay, sweet. So what about the other characters? It's only the fucking Naked Knight. That's the best one ever.
Yeah, and he's only in book 4 too, so it's like...
Ah, damn. See, now after this, like, everyone's gonna be wanting more fucking Naked Knight. Alright, with that little tangent aside, Alex, who is your first favorite OC?
I think I want to talk about a character. His full name is Asymeliin Vilras MakValtiin, or Asiin for short. Gotta love made-up names that make everything complicated.
I'm not on speaker, but I'm pretty sure something just summoned right right into my room. Just.
I'm so sorry.
No, it's fine. It's fine. Just please be like. I really hope that if you're gonna summon something, at least like summon me a slice of pie.
I'll try my best.
Okay. Anyway, I'm sorry. That's disrespectful to the name.
No, I totally get it. I made them complicated on purpose. Anyway, he's probably one of my most like complex characters, and like morally ambiguous, which is probably why he's one of my favorites and why I keep coming back to him. He's also like a vampire and also kind of immortal, so he has a lot of time to like work with. What?
I hate this.
I need to say something else.
So it cut off right when you were talking about, I guess when you were really first starting to talk about him.
Oh
like
boy.
you'd given the name, but like everything else after that.
Okay.
Sorry.
So I'll go back again and say he started out as an antagonist in another story, or in a story, not another story. He started out as an antagonist in a story, and I became really attached to him and sort of started figuring out his backstory and realized he was an incredibly complex character with like very interesting morals and motivations, which is why he quickly became one of my favorites. What else should I say about him? He's a prince, a crown prince, specifically. His mother is, well, she's like one of the main antagonists, and is a terrible person for a lot of reasons. Did the vampire part get cut out? He's a vampire and he's immortal.
I think that part was kept in, yeah.
Okay. I don't know what else I should say.
So what does he look like?
Okay. He's so he was born into a race of like the near humans that exist on my planet, that I refer to as the elementals usually. So they tend to be quite dark-skinned, curly hair. And then eye color varies depending on which element they're most attuned to. In his case, he's not really attuned to any element, so brown eyes, average height, tends to keep his hair shorter in this day and age. He's been alive for thousands of years, so that's probably changed.
So if you're thinking so you say that he's on a planet where there's so much complexity to your lore. I'm really struggling, and this is my own fault to try to piece everything together because there's just so much. But does he have abilities?
So the vampires or the Varun on my planet do have some abilities. They tend to be stronger than normal people, faster a little bit, and some of them can use basic magic. So Asiin specifically can open portals, for example, which is something that pretty much anyone can learn. But he doesn't have any elemental magic or anything like that.
So then, if he goes into a battle, does he carry any weapons?
Yes, he has a rapier type sword made out of diamond.
Nice. You gotta go in a battle with class.
Well, it's the thing. It's because my novel, The Diamond Dagger.
Yeah.
The diamond dagger is made out of diamond for a reason. Which is diamond is the only thing that can like properly kill a vampire. Oh, that's their other ability. They're really hard to kill. Like they don't, a lot of things don't kill them very easily.
Shit. Yeah. Vampires for me at least have always been like, I think pretty, I like, what am I trying to say? I like vampires when they're pretty well written. When they're not well written, it's like, eh. I like vampires with a lot of like, that don't just kind of deviate into the kind of, they can only stay at night, they sleep in coffins. They've got like, they're bloodsuckers and everything. Like personally, I like a lot of variety with my vampires, and like if they've got like cool powers or cool weapons and shit. Like a vampire like carrying around a diamond rapier, basically, that's badass. Love that shit.
Got lots of diamond weapons in this world.
Nice.
Yeah, so no, like, I had like a vampire phase, high key, and that's why there's vampires in this world. But you never really see vampires in like high fantasy setting, which is kind of what the Diamond Dagger is.
Yeah.
Spoilers. And then because Asiin exists in the same world, most of the stories that I have planned with him take place in like a more modern setting. He does have the elements of like vampires in a high fantasy setting, because I think that's really cool and we don't see that enough.
Yeah, I agree. That would be really cool, and I'm personally really excited to see it. But I think one thing I wanted to ask, and I don't know if you've touched on it already, like you've said that he started off as an antagonist, but then you eventually like grew to like him. Like, does that suddenly make him like a good guy or like an anti-hero, or like?
This is one of those things where I feel like I don't want to tell people what they're supposed to think about him. Like, I feel like he's such a complex character that I don't want to say he's a protagonist or an antagonist. He kind of like rides the line. The thing is, he does some like really, really terrible things. But then you also have, or I also have like the circumstances with his family, with his, again, like extremely antagonistic mother. And that kind of, I feel like, complicates his character a lot. So,
shit. Yeah.
He's one of those characters.
Well, like I've said, I'm already excited to read it, and I think when it comes to complex characters like that, I personally can't name any off the top of my head right now, but like, I'm interested to see where you've taken it, because. Like I said already, like a vampire with a diamond rapier is pretty sweet.
Yeah,
just
he's fun.
You've got the cool factor already. I'm hooked from the beginning.
I would draw him, but I can't draw men, so.
See, well, this is perfect because now I have references. Like if I'm ever like, man, I've drawn a lot of OCs, and now I kind of want to do something else. And like, I'll just listen back to this episode and be like, oh, Gabe and Alex have given me almost like concrete descriptions of how to write these characters or of how to draw these characters. And like, here you go.
We'll give you more details if you want them as well.
Yes, maybe. I don't know. That's why I'm asking. But anyway, so let's now talk about our other characters after this. So. My second favorite OC is, it was a toss-up when I was planning this episode. It was a real toss-up between one of these two characters, and the one that I'm going to talk about is Linnea, who in my book is the goddess of the soil. So she's basically god of the earth, except it's not earth. But anyway, she is one of the 9 gods of my planet Fuhin, and what makes Linnea so interesting are quite a few small things, and a very big thing that kind of influences a lot of the story. But I'll get to the small things first. So all of the gods except for Linnea have been named after my friends. Or have been named after some of my friends in high school. So for the 9 gods, it's Alluvia, Linnea, Mernawe, Adria, Roth, Wild, Rabillo, Sane, and Thon. A little bit hard to pronounce, but in my book, that's where all the names are. That's how you pronounce them. And
I know a little bit about hard to pronounce names, don't worry.
yeah, I'm just saying. So Linnea is the only one that is the original god, and that's kind of an Easter egg to or it's my own little Easter egg to Skyrim, who there are 9 gods in that world, and only one of them is named kind of out of nowhere. There's some kind of value or some kind of significance to the other gods' names, like they're named after developers or something, but I think the one god that isn't named after a developer or person of significant notice is Kinnereth, who's the goddess of the wind. And so I was like, oh, that could be pretty cool. So as a little nod to that, Linnea is attributed to the color mauve. I don't. It's just mauve. Again, mauve. I say mauve. I think that's how you pronounce it.
I thought it was mauve, but I could be wrong.
It's mauve something. I don't know. It's there's a proper pronunciation out there somewhere, but it's a big thing. Like, I've really grown a liking to the color purple over the years, and mauve just has to, like, there's just a certain shade of, there's just this something about mauve that I really like. I think, like, I just really like that color. Her powers deal with a lot of things. Like, it's an elemental power, so it's one of the 4 Aristotelian elements, one of the 4 elements in the Avatar universe. Like, I don't know what it is. Like, Aristotelian elements are super cool, and I'm glad that I was able to kind of write her into that setting, so she has control over Vuhin's soil, trees, flowers. Think of her basically as an earthbender, if that's easy to understand. But I think the big reason why she's one of my favorite characters is because she is the goddess that is closely tied to the main character Porter, and there's a really interesting relationship that I'm hoping to develop there. So I think one other reason why Linnea has to be one of my favorite characters is because she has had her own tragic backstory, as a lot of characters do. See, the gods in my world, they were once human, or they were once mortal, basically. They didn't have kind of ethereal powers, and they didn't really have like ethereal supernatural powers yet. They started off as nothing, and kind of going through the events of the book, like, I don't want to reveal too much, but they do eventually get these powers, but that doesn't kind of erase any of their mortality. They still have their morals, they still have their ethics, and it's through, I think, an event in my timeline that Linnea really, 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 really fucks up. and fucks up in the sense that she makes a decision that really alters the course of the planet's history from then on. And I think that's why, like, the gods in my world, I find are really fascinating, and Linnea is the most fascinating of them all because of this one decision that really kind of blurs everything. Like, just how much, I guess, as just to kind of tease interest, like, just how much does one person mean to you, kind of thing. So, like, that was something that Linnea had to go through in this event, and unfortunately she chose the wrong option. I'll just say that, because first of all, I haven't truly developed it out yet, so I don't want to be speaking out of my ass and saying a whole bunch of shit that probably won't either make it in yet. But yeah, her design is pretty cool too, I think, personally. Like,
that's cool.
Yeah, like, it's, I don't want to say it's cliche having gods in a universe, but like, it is a pretty common thing. Sorry?
Gods are cool. Gods are cool. Embrace it.
Yes, they are. And that's why they're in a lot of fantasy stories. Like, I wanted to make my gods not just like all powerful and all, all great. Like, I didn't want to just make them the easiest ways to write everything off, right? I wanted them to have, not just personality, but real influence on the story. So that's why they started off mortal. They came from nothing. They fought their way to, to become the ethereal beings that they are introduced as in the story. And like over the course of this series that I'm hoping to like actually develop a lot of them, but Linnea's is the first one. She is the one that I'm investing a lot of my time and interest into, and guess that's why she's my favorite by default. Who knows, maybe if I do start developing more characters that might change, but okay. Gabe, how about you? Who's your second favorite?
My second favorite, I guess I'm gonna go with a character from something I've been sharing with you guys recently called Skybuster. It's my character's called Nova, and she's also called the Mech Hunter. Essentially, her thing is that she's a bounty hunter who's an expert in a very specific form of martial arts in my universe, which is called anti-mech combat. A bit of a tangent in my universe. Not everyone, but there are frequently a lot of ships, and a lot of characters have access to these huge robotic weapons that are basically mechs. They're called gunners, but they're essentially just mecha. And Nova is a character who doesn't use a mecha. She doesn't use a mech, and she's essentially a disassembler. She goes into combat solo against mechs, and
I don't talk about.
Yeah, same.
All right.
Hey.
Hi. So
where was I when you lost me?
You said that she disassembles mechs.
Yeah, she's assembly. She carries around this long piece of rope, and she has these high heat swords that can cut through metal. And cool. She essentially she's sort of a wrangler, I guess, is what you could call her. She isn't good in hand-to-hand combat, but if she comes across a mech, she can essentially break it apart in a matter of minutes. Nice. And I guess what I like about her as a character, she has a very close history with my protagonist, Sky, who's also a bounty hunter. Essentially, long before, 14 years before the story takes place, they both experienced a traumatic loss at the hands of a highly wanted outlaw. And Sky has since sort of forgotten about it. He's made his peace with it, and he just wants to be a bounty hunter. He just wants to follow in his father's footsteps and become a good bounty hunter. But Nova has not yet. She hasn't reconciled with the past, and she hasn't made peace with it. She still hangs on to the grudge, and she actively resents Sky for sort of making his peace with it. She sees it as he's forgiven essentially his father's killer and her brother's killer. And so there's this sort of, they were friends in the past, but now they're rivals thing going on.
Nice. Pretty sweet, actually. Okay, so, what do they look like? What's their design?
Right, yeah, okay. So her suit is essentially it's like a black suit of armor under a long brown trench coat, but her helmet is where I sort of went nuts. She wears this silver mask that sort of looks like a skull, but it has a long red visor, and on top of which she wears I don't know how to describe this because I don't know what the correct terminology is, but it's like a straw hat, like a Japanese straw hat, but it's made of metal.
Sounds like
I don't know. It kind of reminds me of do you know who that reminds me of? It reminds me, it's giving me kind of Raiden vibes from Mortal Kombat, that kind of hat.
Yes, yeah, exactly. I don't know what the correct term for that kind of hat is, but it's like a big disc, I guess, that she wears on top of her head.
Yeah,
it's sort
I call it a farming hat, because typically farmers would wear that to, block out the shade and whatever.
Yeah.
Apparently they're called casa or amigasa.
Oh.
Yes.
Well, don't say you don't learn anything on this podcast. That is a pretty sweet design, though. Like, that is a pretty sweet thing to, like, add to your character. That's a really interesting design, and, like, Raiden, at least for Mortal Kombat, makes it work, like, a hell of a lot. It's pretty sweet.
Mm-hmm. I've always found, like, hats like that on sort of samurai-type characters to be just the fucking coolest.
Oh, yeah.
And under this, when she takes off the mask and everything, she's sort of this fish person. She's entirely blue-skinned.
Wait,
she has...
like fish person?
Yeah. Like,
are we talking like Shape of Water kind of fish?
No. Like, I guess have you both played Undertale?
Oh, okay, yeah, I know.
Like sort of like Undyne.
Yeah.
Like a fish person. She's all blue, and she has a pink undercut.
Ooh.
So cool.
That is so cool, yeah. Ooh, I definitely want to draw her out. That sounds pretty sweet.
I can DM you a more detailed thing later.
Yeah, later. So, I guess, like, going into their backstory a little bit more, like, why did you write them the way that they are? Like, why are they kind of a thing? Like, so, like, how did they get to where they were? If that makes any sense. I
think what I'm going for right now is there's a long history between them where so when they were both kids, there was this outlaw who's called the Black Hole, who is essentially the most wanted person in the galaxy, and that's
so badass. Oh my god.
And as kids, they both saw on basically a televised broadcast the Black Hole murder Sky's father and Nova's brother, who were both bounty hunters, which launched them on this, like, quest to, we have to learn to become bounty hunters, we have to become the best bounty hunters in the galaxy because we're going to get our fucking revenge. And then after 14 years, not 14, after, like, I want to say 10 years, because there's some time between when it all ended and where the story is, but for about 10 years they basically scoured the galaxy for the Black Hole, and at a certain point they never ended up finding him, and they just realized they were probably never going to find him. And when this happened, Sky sort of had a come to Jesus moment and realized, I don't think this is what my dad would have wanted. I don't think he would have wanted me to spend my life trying to get revenge. I think he would have wanted me to spend my life helping other people and being and doing what I want to do. So he decided to just be a bounty hunter. He would try to take down other bounties and just forget about the Black Hole. Let it go. And Nova never quite reached that point. She was very close with her brother, and yet they had a lot of problems. So they were left completely unresolved, and she has this hatred for the Black Hole that she just hasn't let go. And the fact that Sky has decided that he's going to let go has sort of extended that hatred towards him. So while being old friends and old comrades, she like kind of hates him for what she sees as betraying her and betraying her brother.
Damn. I always love hearing, like, backstories to characters. Makes it a thing, like, I'm of the firm belief that not every character's backstory has to be tragic, but, like, I
don't think that either.
Yeah. Like, I'm invested in Sky's character, like, definitely.
Mm-hmm.
Cool. So, Alex, who is your second pick?
I think I'm going to talk about the character that I named myself after on Discord. Whimsy, who's also the character that my Instagram is named after. Fun fact, so his name is Whimsy. He exists in a different universe than the one I've been talking about mostly. He is...
I love that it's like universes. It's not just universe, universes.
Okay, they can't overlap because there's like it's like this, like there's vampires in both universes, but they're like different types of vampires, so they can't really overlap.
The Alex cinematic universe. The Alex cinematic multiverse.
Thank you, Georgia.
Anyway, sorry, you were talking about Whimsy.
Yes, Whimsy. His name is not actually Whimsy. That's a nickname. This is the fun backstory. This is a fun character.
Wait, so then if Whimsy is just the nickname, what's their full name?
Empyrean, which is like a person related to the sky, which is relevant because he is like a demigod, sort of. And then my joke about it was that there was a time when there were a bunch of demigods born on the planet, and all their parents were like, oh, they need like a high, powerful sounding name. So they all named their children Empyrean. But then half of them were like immortal, so they needed ways to like differentiate between them. So then they all got nicknames. So this character, Whimsy, was considered the whimsical Empyrean. There's the Instagram name.
Oh, that's so cool. I love that.
Yeah.
I love that so much.
Yeah. He holds a special place in my heart.
Okay. Backstory. Go.
Okay, so in my universe, originally, I had like actual gods and stuff that I was basing off of like the Greek gods and stuff, and then I decided I didn't want to do that. So his actual godly parent is just the general sky god. Whimsy is like canonically one of the most powerful characters in like the entire universe. He has like crazy wind powers. He can like kick up a hurricane and stuff. But he basically never uses his abilities unless he has to. He's actually like a really chill dude too. He tends to just like float around and sleep. And then I have like this thing where I think magic is really fun when it's like connected to the eyes. So a lot of the characters in this universe specifically, when they use their magical abilities, something happens to their eyes, like they light up or like symbols appear or that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Whimsy's case,
sorry, I second that. That is something that I think in my universe that happens too. But anyway.
Yeah. Magic eyes are really cool.
Oh yeah, 100%.
Yeah, so Whimsy, his magic is kind of so powerful that even if he has his eyes open, stuff starts happening. So he just like keeps his eyes closed basically all the time. He's also like in this universe, there's like not like a place where like other demigods can go for like protection, sort of, that are run by like the immortal and really powerful ones. And then like any of the ones who are not immortal or any of the ones who are less powerful or just don't have anywhere to go can like go there to like be safe and learn how to use their abilities and stuff. And Whimsy is the like front desk secretary and also the first line of protection in case, they're attacked or anything. He's like a favorite among the students because he'll just like float through the classrooms and check up on everyone.
Nice.
Yeah. You said you wanted backstory, huh?
It's just, damn, you were giving me like a backstory to really invest in. Like, both of you are, but like, damn. Like I was always wondering, like, and just on the name itself, like I think your Instagram handle Whimsical Empyrean, like, that's interesting. I wonder why that is. And now that I know like the reason behind it and like the character behind it too, ooh, chef's kiss. Love that. So, like you were saying that like this character means a lot to you. Why is that?
I don't really have a good reason for it. He hasn't even been around that long. I think I invented him like 6 or 7 years ago, give or take. So he's not even like anywhere near my oldest characters. But I just, as soon as I like came up with him, just kind of loved him as like a concept. Then like I started figuring out his abilities and his backstory and stuff, and just like fell harder. There's just like we were talking about character tropes that we're really into recently.
Mm.
And like I think extremely powerful characters who choose not to use their abilities unless they have to are certainly like a character trope that I'm drawn to.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
So like, I don't want to make the comparison to Superman, but that's the kind of character that I'm thinking of right now, where he is a literal god, but he doesn't use his powers for a while. At least like I'm thinking of like Man of Steel Superman for the majority of the story. He's like, oh, I'm not gonna use my powers because then people will find out that I'm more than just some guy from wherever, from bumfuck wherever. But like, then he uses his powers and it's like, oh, we have a god walking amongst us. Holy shit! That's kind of the character that I'm thinking of, or that's kind of the character that trope. Like that's the first one that I'm really kind of, oh, okay.
Now that you like say that, you're right. He does kind of have Superman vibes. I'm not too familiar with Superman in any of its forms, so
Yeah,
I
but
can't
at least Whimsy sounds likable, and at least there's more to Whimsy.
He's very much like a favorite among like the other characters. Like he's one of those people that's basically impossible to dislike.
Mm.
Um,
I mean, with a name like Whimsy, it's like, oh, I'm gonna love this character so much already.
Yeah. He has some like really like strong bonds with some of the other characters in his surroundings. But he gets along with everyone pretty much, except like the people who do really really terrible things and stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's like a character for me who is incredibly powerful. It's not like he tries to hide it or anything. Like people know, you could probably look at him and figure out that he's probably not like a normal dude, especially considering he floats everywhere. That might help a little bit with that.
So then, like, sorry to cut you off, but like, what does Whimsy look like then?
Okay, I said that he doesn't look normal, but he actually doesn't look like that weird either. Like he's just like brownish skin, hair worn like shoulder length, curly, slightly pointy ears. The gods in this universe have like diamond shaped pupils, so he has diamond shaped pupils. Not that you ever really see them because again he keeps his eyes closed all the time. And he tends to wear like loose clothing that he can move around really easily in.
Nice.
On the taller side too, probably. Like, if you were actually like to stand up in front of you, you'd probably be kind of intimidated. Like he's a big guy, but his like demeanor and personality are like really chill.
See, I'm kind of thinking of like how, like if I were to look up to this guy, like am I about to strain my neck or something?
How tall are you?
Just like, holy shit! My neck is at 90 degrees.
He's not
just
quite
trying
that.
just like trying to make eye contact with this one kid. No, yeah, I know that they're probably not like that. Now that you say it, that's good.
Oh, he's a fun character. I like him a lot.
Mm.
If you couldn't tell based on all of my things that are named after him.
Yeah, like, so I had asked before, like, and this will segue actually into my final favorite OC, but I think characters that have a lot of meaning more than just like, more than just their tragic backstory, their creation. Like, I think when there's a lot of sentimental value behind creating your characters, that really makes them your personal favorite. Mm-hmm. And like, it's good to hear the story on Whimsy and just how much he means to you. In terms of characters that mean a lot to me, there is Porter's best friend, Magna. She is I guess with all respects, she is a bottom. A very excitable cheery bottom. But she's so much more than that, because there's a lot more, to be honest, that I've packed into Magna than I have into Porter's backstory. And I guess just to kind of compare the two quickly, I guess first I'll talk about where they come from. Magna is a Hymnic, coming from the land of Hym. It's literally just Hymn. That's a continent southwest of Illyria, which is where the first book is set. Hym is how I've created it so far. It is basically my take on the Philippines, which is my nationality. Hym is divided into numerous different lands into numerous different countries. Magna and her family come from the north, which is coincidentally where I was, or not coincidentally, I was born in the north of the Philippines. So only fitting that Magna comes from the north of Hym. Magna immigrated to Illyria. Oh my god. No. God damn it. So, like I was saying, you know what? I don't know why I suddenly started talking about where she came from before I even compared Porter and Magna, and now that I was, that's how I introduced them. So, Magna is a full-born Hymnic. She comes from two northern Hymnic parents. Porter is, just for comparison, Porter is technically a mixed race child if we're talking about kind of Earth standards. So in Illyria, Porter was born to two Orsinian parents, but they are both of different skin colors. So it is, I guess, for real world sake, Porter's father is white and her mother is black. But Magna's is, like I've said already, it's two northern Hymnics. Continuing on with her backstory, Magna and her family immigrated to Illyria for, I guess, work reasons for her father, Magnus. And then her and Porter met, funny enough, because of a theft. So when I really want to make sure this backstory works because it is one of my favorite backstories. Porter had a pretty rough childhood, and so her and her mother were at a market, and she decided to, because Porter really loves her mom, she decided to steal something, and she wanted to steal something that would kind of help pay for dress or something really nice for her mom to wear, maybe some groceries here and there. And coincidentally, she found a pocket watch dangling from the pocket of a Hymnic. Or from a Hymnic man. And so Porter went to steal it. She does it, but she makes the mistake of kind of celebrating that and letting the adrenaline get to her. So she's skipping off pretty happily. And so the man, Magnus, notices that his pocket watch is missing. So he's like, what the fuck? And then so his daughter, Magna, chases after Porter. And so, as an act of trying to apologize, Porter's mother invites Magnus' parents to a dinner. And keep in mind that they're already pretty poor at this point, so not really a thing. It was a big thing to do that. And long story short, they've been friends ever since. I'll get to the thing. I'll really get into the full backstory in my book, because I don't want to think. I want everyone to really kind of experience that kind of weird circumstance that had come by. But Magna is, she really does mean a lot to me, because she is basically a Filipina, or at least how I want her to be. She, in just her character design alone, she has these things, or these golden tattoos across her chest, some part of her arms. Those I'm hoping to describe well enough to kind of allude to the traditional Filipino tattoos that, pre-Spain invasion, colonization, that was a commonplace thing. I'm hoping to incorporate a lot of real traditional Filipino things that were pre-colonization into Magna's character and into him, the island. And I think moreover than that, like, she is an archer, which I've always had a thing for archers. Shout out to Legolas, that blonde bitch, love him.
Same.
Yeah, like, I've always loved archers, and there comes the description of like, oh, this archer doesn't miss and shit, but like, I want to make sure that comes across and it makes sense, because if I'm just writing Magna as another archer, that makes sense. I'm like, oh, god damn it. There's no flavor here. So it's little things too, like how I'm trying to do that is Magna is the granddaughter of a former Henrick army person, or of a former sergeant of the Henrick army. So she's had years of training, years of experience, and I'll get to this story in later books, but there was a circumstance that kind of canceled her from that because of a choice that she made, where I don't want to say is forbidden from going to the army, but there really is a lot of prejudice and a lot of like shame going into it, and so she still can join the army. It's just that she can't do it scot-free. There's going to be a lot of shame on her family. So maybe the reason why I've called her like a bottom in the beginning is because she really is very excitable. She's a lot. She doesn't, like, she always tries to bring a smile to Porter's face, like Porter, especially because they're very close. They've had a lot of history together, and she always seems to be the perfect foil to Porter, while Porter has her moments of seriousness and wants to make sure that, wants to get the job done, celebrate later. Magna has always tried to bring out that joy and happiness in Porter, and she really cares about her, like, really does. And, she does that by being a goofball. She does that by being very excitable when Porter's being kind of down. Like, someone has to do things. Someone has to bring a lot of joy to a person that has gone through a lot. And Magna is that person that does that for Porter. So I think without Magna, like, Porter is still the protagonist of my series, but I think without Magna, it just wouldn't be the same. Right, it's like I'm not exactly writing two protagonists at the same time, but with how much I love Magna, it pretty much feels like it. So
she sounds like one of the character tropes that I'm into. So
which one is that?
Because
if it's excitable bottom, then I didn't realize that was a trope.
Well, I mean, like, because we were talking about Avatar characters, and like Ty Lee, that kind of gives me like vaguely Ty Lee. Excitable, trying to...
I know exactly what you
mean. Yeah. It's like they're mature enough to understand just how everything works, but that doesn't really like tamper their spirits or anything, right?
Yeah.
Like some kind of like childlike
favorite.
Yeah,
character.
like childlike, excitable kind of vibe. Yeah, I get that. Yeah. I think that summarizes Magna perfectly. And that bottom comparison aside, like, she is, I think without her, like, Porter would have really gone a very dark path. And again, I'll explain it in the books when I eventually get to it, and when I've polished it so that it works. But these two have been so intertwined. Like they met as kids, right? And how they met hasn't exactly been great. You don't really exactly meet your friends through a theft, but just some do. We don't know, but it's been good a lot of the time, fraudulent sometimes, and because they have been together for so long, like, I really want to do them justice, like, not just like friendship, relationship wise, but like, because this is going to be going towards, I think, largely like a young audience, and maybe towards an LGBTQ plus audience. Like, I don't want to exactly like market it just to them, right? But if it is going to their audience, like, I want to make sure that I'm handling this relationship properly. And I think that's just going off on a tangent, but like, yeah, Magna is my favorite character. I think ever. that I've ever really created, and that's saying something because Porter, I have put a lot of work in. Discord, look, I get it. I need to wrap up, but please just give me the moment. I swear to God, Discord is just like, dude, fucking wrap it up. But fine, Discord, I'll do just that. So, like, it's saying something that I picked Magna to talk about finally instead of Porter, because obviously Porter is the main character, and if we do a follow-up on this episode, like, I'll definitely talk about Porter a lot more because she is still one of my favorite characters. But I think Magna is my favorite because really without her it would just be a very dry kind of sad story, and at least Magna, like to Porter, makes the journey a little bit more fun. So, Gabe, who's your third favorite? Or I guess your first favorite. I don't know. who's your third pick?
How does any of this work? The third pick is a character from a story that I've shared with you guys a little bit, called Folklore. My character's called Kuznet. Or Kuznet. I'm not sure how to pronounce it. It's a Russian name. And essentially, Kuznet is the leader of a gang of smugglers and arms dealers in a town called Bialev on the Russian-Mongolian on the Russian-Mongolian border.
Shit, that's pretty sweet.
Yeah,
I think with just that description alone, like a Russian character living on the Russian-Mongolian border. All right, I'm good. I'm hooked already.
Not even started yet.
Yeah, no, it's not like that. I'll let you continue, but just like, interest, sweet, starting off good.
So essentially Kuznet is she's this gangster that one of the protagonists, Dmitri, gets sort of involved with as he's investigating a meteor that has crashed into this town and its effects of radiation on the population. She's this gang leader who gets kind of wrapped up in her gang dilemma, her gang conundrums, and the inner politics of the organized crime here. There's essentially a power struggle between the gangs from the. Just real tangent. There's 7 districts in the town: the Herb District, the Salt District, the Heart District, the Lotus District, the Cloud District, the Moon District, and the Outer Steppe. And she's the head of a gang in the Salt District and is at odds with a gang from the Lotus District over power struggle. What makes her interesting to me, though, is sort of how she carries herself and the way she is. She's sort of this aloof and very dismissive person. It seems like she's very torn into this power struggle, but it's almost like she could care less about the outcome of it. There's frequent vague allusions to the idea that she is aware that she's in a book and that she isn't real and that none of this is real. It's not really like not like anything Deadpool-y. Like, she doesn't break the fourth wall or.
Yeah, I was just about to ask. I'm like,
Yeah, no, she doesn't. There's no like, oh, I'm in a book and I don't care how this ends. There's just vague allusions to the idea that, like, there's an offhand line where she alludes to the fact that this scene has taken up too much time in this chapter and we have to move on. It's like stuff like that.
So kind of like, I guess just to go off that, it's like kind of like, oh, you've been wasting my time already. Get to the point, or something like that.
Yeah, she's. I'll try to find the line. I have it open. It's something like. Basically, how the story works is that each day is a chapter, and so I think she says there's not a whole much daylight left. There's not a lot of daylight left. Something like that. There's just a vague allusion to the idea that we have to wrap this up, guys. We've spent too much time on this whole side story for this chapter.
Got it. All right, back to the character.
Yeah, and her design is she wears this I guess she's mixed. She's Japanese American, or not Japanese Russian, and she wears this red suit. She wears this bright red velvet suit, like a dress suit, I guess, and a black eye patch over one of her eyes. And
eye patch.
What?
Always love an eye patch.
Yeah. Same. I'm a slut for eye patches.
Off on another tangent too, by the way. But like for those who are following me on social media, I had recently drawn a character for Gabe called Killer Queen, where it had an eye patch that I think was one of my personally it was one of my favorite designs of Killer Queen. It was that eye patch, like had a little heart in the middle too, and like just everything. I'm like, oh, that's so cool. I love this character already. Makes sense now that like it's cool now that like you've kind of carried that on with this character too. That's pretty sweet.
I love
You're
eye
a
patches.
slut for eye patches.
Note: I started a new game of D&D yesterday, and my character in that has an eye patch.
Hell yeah! Hell yeah!
Has a heart on it.
Eye patches on characters are like what cultured people do instead of heterochromia.
It is the definition of sex appeal is an eye patch.
Yeah.
Yeah, fuck your two different colored eyes. It's the eye patch where you don't even see one. Beautiful.
No one in the town specifically knows why she has an eye patch or why she never shows her arms. Some people just think, oh, the clothes are a style choice, and the eye patch is she just has a wound. Some people think her clothes are to cover up her Yakuza tattoos from her days as a Yakuza enforcer when she lived in Japan.
Yeah, one would think, right? That is pretty sweet.
And the eye patch is to cover from like a scar that she gained. There are characters who think that the eye patch is to cover a mutation from the meteor. The meteor has left over like some leftover radiation, and her eye got fucked up, so she just covers it up. There are some people who think that it's her sort of hyper awareness that she seems to have over the world around her. There's a character who says that she stared into the eyes of God, and God plucked her eye out as punishment.
Oh, that's awesome.
The only thing better than a character with an eye patch is a character with an eye patch who everyone makes up rumors about why they have an eye patch.
Yeah,
that gets them talking.
I don't have a specific reveal in mind for why, like, she has an eye patch, but I have tons of characters with their own theories as to what happened to her eye.
That way.
Yeah, it's better that way. Yeah.
Yeah.
Leave us with the mystery. We'll want more of it.
Her whole character is, I guess, she's like just a wild card. I guess. She's sort of separate from a lot of the main story, and she's like, I guess, like a bull in a china shop. I guess she shows up, she causes trouble.
Like, does she influence the story a lot then, or?
She influences the story she influences a lot of Dimitri's story arc. She's not like a huge player in the overall story, but she because Dimitri's story arc has a lot to do with the gangs and the organized crime in the town. So her story deals with him a lot, but she's not like a huge factor player on the main story. The main story is a murder mystery, sort of.
Nice.
Was she in the excerpt you brought to class?
She's not. She's in the updated version of it that I submitted as my portfolio. I think I sent that to the writing problem chat a while back, but
I don't know if I read it.
No, that's fine.
If we haven't read it, I sure as fuck want to read it now.
Yeah.
Like, if knowing that you had submitted it for like even on Discord, like, I swear to God, after this chat is done, I'm gonna look through the pinned messages, and if it's not there, and if I don't see that fucking name on it, I'm gonna be like, Gabe, I need that shit now.
Yeah, it doesn't have a lot of the rumors and stuff. The only thing that she's in that first chapter is just her first appearance, but yeah.
Must be a hell of a first appearance though. Like, how does she kind of appear, or like how does she make her debut?
Basically, her debut is Dimitri. Dimitri comes into the town. Essentially, he's trying to investigate the meteor. So he's looking to meet up with a friend of his, an old friend of his from university named Georgie Maxim, and he meets Kuznet because he goes to Georgie's house and finds her and her gang essentially ransacking the place, where he finds out that Georgie has been dead for a couple of days now. and
Wow.
she and her
Damn.
gang have essentially just come here to take all of his shit. And then the scene is essentially her and Dimitri are like haggling to see if Dimitri can get Georgie's papers and his documents on the meteor.
Oh, dude, that's awesome.
Sounds like an amazing introduction.
Yeah. I don't know why we haven't touched on that actually. Like character introductions like really kind of helps someone stand out. Like I guess going back to Magna real quick, like her introduction is showing up at Porter's door when Porter is already kind of frightened because it feels like she had been stalked by someone leading up to a hotel room where she thinks she's safe. And God damn it. God damn it. God damn it.
It's either I just know the hook.
Okay, look, Discord, I get it. You don't want me talking anymore, but please just give me this one moment.
Discord did it again.
Yeah. Oh yeah. So I was talking briefly on Magna's introduction, and Magna had been kind of scared, or not Magna, Porter had been kind of scared that she had been stalked all the way up until she got into an inn for safety, and Porter opens up the door thinking that like, oh wait, who the fuck is out there? I'm ready to fight them and everything. So she goes up, opens the door, and just there's this huge sigh of relief, but also kind of like, oh god. Because then there's just little happy Magna with the big ass smile on her face. She's like, hi!
That's adorable.
It's good
I
to
love
see
her
you!
already.
Yeah. So anyway, I guess what else like is there to talk about your character, Gabe? Like you've already given us like the basis of it, but like we were talking about like what weapons they kind of held on their person. Like what kind of weapons does your character hold?
I guess she has a revolver on her. I don't know if she has a revolver and like an old fashioned like rifle,
Chef's
like
kiss.
a western sort of style rifle, like very Red Dead.
Yeah. Oh, chef's kiss. I love it. Like a Japanese Russian former Yakuza member with an eye patch and a revolver. Oh my god. The fan art from that fucking like of this fucking character, like, oh, it'd be sweet. Like that would look so fucking good, dude. Like obviously all of our characters, but like there's like the things that I've just listed of this thing. Oh, amazing.
Yeah. Next time we do this, you need to give me more heads up so I can find my more interesting looking characters.
Well, it doesn't. I guess so. Sorry. I guess on that note, Alex, who would your third character pick be? Or what would your third character pick be?
Okay, really quick, I'm torn between two. So, should I talk about May or should I talk about Athena?
It's up to you. I'm interested in either.
It's not helpful.
I was seriously about to wait. Okay, wait. Do you want to flip a coin?
Okay.
Okay, let's put May heads.
Okay,
Hang on. How is May spelled? Just curious. Is it just M-I-Y or
A-E. Short for Madeline.
Nice. Okay, so heads is here. I'll flip the coin. Heads is May. Athena is tails. Alexa, flip a coin.
Heads.
Heads. So
That was
you're talking.
May?
Yeah, you're talking about May.
Okay. May. Otherwise known as... Hold on. What the fuck is her full name?
Madeline. You... Oh my god! Oh my god! I'm back.
Let's try that again, shall we?
Please.
Okay. So my final character is Princess Madeline Alice Merryledge, otherwise known as May. She is the protagonist of a novel I have written called The Crown Upon My Head. And she's a fun character. She's also existed quite a while. She is the second of 5 children. in the Merryledge family, which is the royal family of the country of Gelland. And she is... Well, I guess I'll start by describing her physical appearance, because she's a character I also draw a lot. She's quite pale. The country she's from is based on, like, England and kind of France, like mushed together, you know, like your typical European fantasy setting.
Mm-hmm.
So she's fair-skinned, blonde, curly hair, like really curly. Her country, Gelland, their like color is gold, so she tends to wear a lot of gold and like yellow clothing-wise. And she's a character I really like because her story, The Crown Upon My Head, she starts off as like a princess, and you know, a castle, very wealthy, has lived there her whole life. And an important thing to know is that in the world that she's from, there is magic, and magic is extremely, extremely illegal. Like, people are terrified of it. Like, there's executions and stuff if you're even like accused of having magic. It can get really bad.
Yeah.
And one day she finds out that she has magic.
Shocker.
So we didn't see that coming, right?
Yeah.
And more importantly, she doesn't have just like regular magic, because I like to make my magic systems more complicated than they need to be. And there's like two levels of magic in this world.
Yeah.
There's like magic that anyone can learn, and then there's specifically guardian magic. And the guardians are basically, they're a group of powerful magicians who basically judge the dead and are like the gate into the afterlife. This is painful.
For fuck's sake. Okay, so last part was guardians were kind of like judges of the dead, I think. That's right.
The guardians are the judges of the dead and the gateway to the afterlife.
Okay, yeah, and then disaster. And then
so
just disaster hit and just cut off. Okay, anyway.
Okay. Yes. So guardians, judges of the dead, gateway to the afterlife, live in a giant courthouse in the middle of a forest that no one can ever find because magic. May finds out one of the guardians has to like deal with that essentially. I think well, she's like the protagonist of the story, so you kind of hope that I would like her. But I think a part of the reason I like her is she has to go through like a huge character arc from being like afraid and scared of magic to realizing she has it and having to learn how to control it, and having to like work to understand like her role in the world, and also like the people she's been afraid of for so long, aka like the other guardians.
Yeah. That's a thing. That's a kind of narrative that I've always really enjoyed. It's like you've lived in a society where you've been without something, or like you've been afraid of something for so long, and suddenly you are entrusted with it. It's like, or entrusted, or like you come upon it, and like suddenly you have to live with it, and you have to live with that, like all the burdens and all the fear that come with it. Like how does that develop, and how does that change a character? Like, I've always really enjoyed that kind of story.
Yeah,
personally.
me too.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So she's a fun character. I actually love. There's 7 guardians in total, and I love all of them so much. Like, some of my like favorite characters.
I can't wait to get into the world building episode, which is gonna come up, I think, shortly after this.
I have many worlds that I can talk about.
Yeah, a multiverse. It's a fucking multiverse.
I have done like crossover like mind episodes, you know.
Oh my god. Okay. Look. I think yeah, we don't have time to talk about it. Let's focus back in on May. So, Like what exact like when you're talking about like magic like and magic systems, like what exactly, like is it a specific, like is it like Aristotle kind of like avatar elements or elemental manipulation, something like that, or is it like
So it's kind of more in line with like, for the guardian magic specifically, it's more in line with like divine magic, like you would find in like D&D, and that all the guardians get their magic specifically from the god of the dead, uh, whose name I can't remember right now. He's also referred to as the forward-facing god, because in this world they have like a pantheon of gods, and there's like rules against showing a god's face, so gods tend to be depicted facing away from the viewer. But the god of death wears a mask and a hood and is often depicted facing directly towards the viewer.
oh, that's
So
menacing.
the forward-facing god. And so the guardians kind of have that look with the like the mask and the cloaks that they wear. But yeah, they get all their magic from that god specifically. There are other gods as well that are also vaguely important, but he's the most important god. And again, I said there's like kind of two different types of magic. So then the other magic would be more along like sorcerer or even wizard style of magic in D&D, where there's like spells that you can learn. Some people are more naturally inclined to it. Some people like will never be able to use magic. It's kind of like luck of the draw. But like you can learn from like books and stuff. You can never learn in magic. It's granted to you.
Well, shit. How, I don't know if you've touched on this already, but like, how is it exactly that May kind of gets these powers? Like, does it just spring up, or?
No. So the Guardians have like a cycle going. There's 7 at a time. When one of them dies, like their magic kind of gathers. It's like drawn to the best potential candidate. If that makes sense. So there's like several people in a generation that would make like the best that could make potential candidates to be the next Guardian. There's like several in every generation because accidents happen. The Guardians are not immortal, but they are like long lived. And in this story, they're actually being hunted down. So there's been a lot of deaths recently. But the magic is kind of drawn to the best potential candidate. So May gets kind of like a boost of it, and then also two of her sisters also. If that makes sense.
I lost all that.
There's a ball.
I lost all that. Literally, as you were talking about, like, oh, so maybe you're like some like her sisters kind of have traces of it. Just, nah, cut off.
Oh no.
Yeah. So I'm sorry again, Discord, you motherfucker. Anyway,
to say that again, like her two sisters and then her are like potential candidates for it, but then May is the most suited to it. So that's why she ends up getting bulk of the magic and then eventually all of it.
Nice.
Oh.
It's good it's good that like you elaborated on it, because literally when I heard May and we were talking about Avatar earlier, I'm like, the first few instances, like I swear to God, the first few seconds before I realized that it was your own character, I was like, are you talking about fucking May from like Avatar?
No.
All right, that's good. I guess to talk more about her, like, what is May like? Like, what's her personality? Like, how does she react to certain things?
She tends to be like a pretty practical person. She likes reading about magic and stuff, and she likes like fantasy stories and like, knights in shining armor kind of stuff, but she doesn't really believe in any of that kind of stuff. She's one of those people who would like sit down and read like a romance novel and love it. But then she's also like, true love doesn't exist. So she's kind of like a skeptic in that sense. Yeah, so she's kind of like skeptical of a lot of things. she cares a lot about her siblings, but she has like a pretty tense relationship with some of them. Royal parents are never great in stories. That's just how it is. So her parents aren't the best parents, you could say.
Mm-hmm.
As would be expected of like a king who murders people for having magic. So she... Sorry, my brain just like has completely lost focus of anything. I was gonna say, I don't remember what I was gonna say. Ask me more questions.
Well, no, I mean, like, I think that was the one I really wanted to kind of touch on, like, just how does she react, and how does she understand things. And to be honest, I've kind of lost my focus too. But I mean,
that's what I was gonna say. Like, she's kind of one of those people who's pretty stuck in her ways, and it takes like a while for her to realize that things aren't exactly how she thinks of them. So like with the Guardians, it takes her a while to be like, oh wait, you guys are like people, not like scary demons that want to kill everyone. And like it takes her a while to like overcome her hesitance about things like romance and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
It's fine. She gets a girlfriend by the end.
Yes. Good. I wholeheartedly support more LGBTQ plus relationships in books, especially in urban fantasy.
Fuck
this
yeah.
isn't urban fantasy, it's just fantasy, but yeah.
Urban fantasy. I think, yeah, fantasy in general. I need more of that shit. That needs to happen more.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's good. Cool. So, guess that kind of wraps it up until the next episode, because like I've said in the beginning, the three of us, just the three of us, we have like whole multiverses worth of characters. I guess tune in for for another episode like that in the future. As always, you can find our socials in the description. And as for our final sign off, to entertain that idea a little bit more, and I guess for my own general interest, as kind of like an honorary mention, who is one of the characters that you have wanted to talk about but kind of didn't, in a few sentences or less? So who is an honorary favorite character that you may or may not even talk about in the next episode? And I guess for me to start, I really wanted to talk about Porter, who is obviously the main character of the book and goes through quite a lot as the series develops. Like, really, I think this entire series so far is circling around her. So obviously she is going to be my main focal point going forward, but like, she's so much more than that, and because she is the focal point, there has to be more to her. And definitely in the next episode I will be talking more about her. So, Discord, fucking damn it. What is this, the sixth time you've cut out on me? Is this the sixth time fucking Discord has cut out on me? During the final sign off too, you can give us like 2 more minutes. Anyway, Gabe, honorary character mention.
Oh shit, hang on, I'm eating cucumber. Can we
All right, we paused the honorary mentions and the final minutes of this episode by Gabe eating a fucking cucumber. Are you eating it whole or in slices?
I'm eating it whole. What the fuck do you take me for?
I'm just asking a question. Some people eat their cucumbers in slices. So
yeah,
on a whole other thing too, like my one of my favorite kind of salads to go with a barbecue, or to go with barbecue, because obviously it's that kind of weather, is so my parents will take like some spices, some cucumber slices, and I guess I know one of the ingredients is vinegar, but I don't know what else is it, and they let it and they stir it all together. Oh my god, it's such a nice kind of it just works so well with like the richness of the barbecue, and how these almost pickled cucumbers really work well. Yeah. But I think while you're eating your cucumber, Alex, do you want to say your honorary character mention?
Okay, I guess my honorary character mention goes to Athena. She is a character from a story that is currently dubbed Horse Story.
Love it.
Entitled. She's a knight and a lady, and she's kind of like the character trope of like flirtatious, confident, charismatic character. She's a fun character. She likes to dress up with like ribbons and stuff, but she's also like one of the best knights in her knight squad.
Nice.
So, yeah, she's fun.
Cool. Hope we hear more about her in the next episode if you want. Like maybe you want to talk about another character, but we'll get there when we get there. Gabe, how's your fucking cucumber?
I'm done my cucumber.
All right.
I
don't know why I was thinking you were eating like a whole cucumber from the beginning. Like you probably like had a few bites in there. You're like, damn, that must have been like a small cucumber, or you were really hungry.
I'm pretty hungry.
All right.
My last character is a character called Lady Crimson. She's another character in that fantasy book that Henrick Bloodstorm is from. I sort of impulse picked Henrick Bloodstorm, but I'd love to talk about her in a future episode. She's essentially a cyborg serial killer. She's otherwise known as the Mage Killer in this universe. She's like a half robot, half person who hunts down mages.
Gabe just awesome. Coming at us with like incredible like character descriptions.
Yeah, that's like the Mage Killer. Like that's like a more badass Terminator.
She's known as Lady. I don't know if this is too much for just an honorable mention, but I might get into this more. I might expound on this, but basically she's known as Lady Crimson because all of her cybernetic parts are just coated with dried blood that she never cleans.
Ooh, that is badass. I love that.
I'm making like a surprised Pikachu face right now. Damn. That's some shit. It's like Terminator meets Victor Zsasz. Like if they hunt you down, all of history will know that you died from the Mage Killer.
Yeah, she's one of the villains of the second book, and like a sort of villain of the whole series.
Yeah. Oh, that's awesome. I definitely want to hear more about her. But I guess with that all being said, this concludes another episode of the InkGuild Podcast. Thanks for listening, everyone, and have a good night.